So how did y'all meet?
All right, cool. So we met on Tinder. Don't recommend Tinder. I feel like I deja vu. Don't recommend Tinder. If you're looking for love, Tinder's probably not the place unless you just, unless you got God on your side and you get blessed like we did.
Yeah.
But no, so we were both in a kind of in a state to where we weren't really, looking at Tinder seriously. So I was just swiping through. I just came back to Alabama. And I was just like, all right, let's see what's around, you know what I'm saying? Ran across her profile and I was like, it's probably a scammer. And so so I was like, I don't know. Usually if it's a scammer if you swipe right and then like not too long after, it's there. So I think probably like a day or two later, it matched and I was like, okay. So I was like, hey, with the rose emoji. And she was like, hit me up on IG. I was like, definitely a scammer. So I'm like, all right, let me waste this scammer's time since they want to waste my time. And so we had to talking, and conversation was getting really good. And then we just started talking about our faith, and I was like, I don't think a scammer is like trying to, I don't think they're trying to
Talk about the Lord.
Scam the Christians, you know what I'm saying? At least not specifically. But yeah, so we was talking about that, and I was like, okay, this might be promising. And a few FaceTimes later, and then boom, pulled up to brunch in some joggers and a t-shirt, and she was actually dressed, and I was like, well, it's probably not a good start, but yeah.
Yeah, so before Tinder, I guess I'll just give a little background. I had a talk with the Lord, and I was like, God, I don't want to always have the idea of being married at my forefront or like my main focus. And I was like, I'm gonna put this in your hands. I prayed, I talked to him about it. And then from there, I had that trip coming up to Cali, and I was like, I had a friend actually who downloaded Tinder, and they put their Instagram bio in their Tinder handle, or in their Instagram
bio,
name in their Tinder bio. So I did the same because I'm like, I just want some followers, maybe some networking or something. Not that kind of networking, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So then I was just like, okay, I'm gonna swipe on whoever. There's no conversation. It's just if they see my, social media, they see it. And so I did decide one day, okay, I'm gonna look through these. I'm just swiping. And then he messaged me and was like, hey, beautiful. And I was like, I might have to make an exception for this one. So I messaged you. And then he told me that he had talked to someone at the gym about God. And I was like, okay, all right. Don't usually come from Tinder. And then we started talking about just our favorite worship songs, our relationship with God and everything. And then we FaceTimed. And then from there we went on our first date, and I was like, he got on jogging pants, so it ain't go. No, just kidding. And so we went on our first date, and it just kind of was history from there. Yeah.
Seeing that y'all met on Tinder, right?
Oh, here we go.
Impressions of each other, y'all wasn't thinking about marriage. So was it just strictly friendship at first, or how did it snowball into?
So technically, we were thinking about marriage. That was the reason why Tinder wasn't being taken so seriously in the first place, because most people were just kind of like,
right.
We're just pretty much kind of like, hey, I want to go on a date. You'll go on a date with somebody, and they like, so what you trying to do? And it's like, whoa, wait a minute, you don't even know my birthday yet.
Right.
What we talking about? Yeah. So so it was kind of us both taking a chance really at the same time.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, because I would say, of course I wanted to be married. I knew that was kind of where I was praying that would be the next step, or as far as relationship, that it would be intentional relationship. But as far as Tinder, I didn't take that too serious. It was more of, if good conversation comes from it, that'd be great. If nothing comes from it, then that'd be fine too.
Right. There's no love songs talking about I was swiping on Tinder and I found my wife, you feel me? So
how long were y'all together before actually deciding to get married?
3 days.
No. what was it? I think
We were together for about
Yeah,
before we got married or before we had the conversation.
Like the time between y'all
Dating and
dating
marriage.
and then the proposal.
to
Oh, the time between seriousness. Okay.
Oh, seriousness? I
Like
mean, that
4
was
months.
almost seriousness. That was almost immediate, honestly.
Yeah.
So
I meant just.
So
I was thinking more girlfriend stage, but
it was what, like a week or two when I took you to Zales. It was pretty quick, wasn't it? Or was it?
it was. But it was after we it was right before you asked me to be your girlfriend.
Yeah.
It was the day.
Oh
before.
yeah. So we went
So
to
we
Zales.
had been talking for like I want to say 3 months at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I proposed at 8 months, but I had the ring probably like 5, 6 months. I ain't gonna lie.
you had to ring that long before you.
Yeah. So the goal was because I knew I had it, and of course I was like I still want to be patient and
Yeah.
kind of and do it right. And plus I knew from where so I'm in the Air Force, so I knew where I was coming from. The mission that we had, I couldn't deploy, so I knew when I came here, I was like, I'm gonna be hot for deployment.
Right.
So I was like, I really like this woman, I really love this woman, and I was like, but I don't know when I'm gonna deploy, because they were like, it could be a couple months after you get here, it could be a year. So luckily, it ended up being a year. But yeah, so I was able to, we were able to really spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
Get a ring, hid the ring for a long time. So it was a lot of. It wasn't a lot of awkward moments that she didn't notice, but there were a lot of times I was like, no, don't go in the trunk. You know what I'm saying? Because like before I would come out there, I'd be like, I got to put this ring somewhere. And I'd be like, actually, I got it. And then I went to your apartment and I was like, I don't know where to put it. So I like stuck it under deep into my trunk, and I put a bunch of clothes back there to kind of try to hide it. Yeah.
I mean, I knew that when we were dating, he did give me like a timeline of like this. Like it led up to just like from our conversations that we had.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Growing up, did y'all have any positive examples of what a marriage is?
Oh man. Yes and no.
Yeah.
So yes, if you mean any.
Yeah.
We have a few. If I wanna highlight one, I gotta think. I'll say they probably ain't gonna never see this. I will say probably Rydell and Vicky, they're friends of my mom. They've been together for a hot minute. They're probably and I chose them because I wanted to use like a pastor, or because a lot of pastors, a lot of ministers are usually kind of married for a long time.
Yeah.
So I want to use somebody that's just kind of I think they fell in love in high school. Don't quote me on that, but I just know they've had a house, raised a bunch of kids, like kids all gone, and now they just chilling, working, and hanging out when they can.
Yeah.
House paid for, like pretty solid. But I will have to say I've definitely had more bad examples of relationships in general. And unfortunately it's kind of like where we're at right now. There's just a lot of bad examples, and honestly most of those examples are because of like us as people. It's not because relationships itself is hard. It's just you got to take the necessary steps to choose the right person. And we all say choose the right person, but a lot of people don't know what that means really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Kind of the same. I mean, like you said, if we're not naming pastors, I haven't had too many big examples around me. I've seen some healthy relationships, but not enough to know what they deal with or anything. But definitely, as far as like my family and everything, not too many good. Mostly what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so seeing that y'all grew up mostly around pastors, and that was the ones having a positive relationship.
Mm-hmm.
What was the good that you took from those,
Mm-hmm.
and what was the bad that you saw that you know how to, or you could see now that you're older, how to fix?
Okay.
From just from all of them in general.
Yeah.
So I would say in the best words I can probably put it is, so a lot of people, there's like a trend now going like saying that marriage is a contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really not. And the ones who actually are making it long term, they don't look at marriage as
Because not.
more of an agreement. They look at it as more of a duty. And I think that's like a really powerful kind of way to, a mindset to have with it is if you know, when you know you've done the necessary steps to choose the right person and this person fits that and that person, and y'all walking through life together before marriage shows that, then you kind of, I don't want to say an allegiance, but you kind of form like a mindset of like, I have a duty to this person. And that's where that choice of love, I'm choosing to love that person. It's my duty to choose every day to be like, all right, yes, I love my wife. Yes, we have things to work on, but that's not something I'm not going to allow that to be something that just makes me go, well, I don't want to be here no more. Because that grass ain't always green on the other side. And we see that a lot too. We have a lot of examples of people who divorce. Some people who divorce because they thought they could find better. That ain't been working out, you know what I'm saying? So, but what having that mindset means you didn't have that sense of duty of like, I made this choice, you know, nobody's making anybody sign the contract.
Right.
So even then with the contract analogy, like you're still both signing to agree. So it's really just that duty and that agreement that a lot of people just kind of don't take seriously.
Right.
Yeah, I think just from what I've seen from relationships and us being like, you know, servants of the Lord and following Christ, I feel like, or, you know, I know that we don't see divorce as an option. I think that's like the biggest takeaway that I see from those relationships. As far as something that negatively that I see in other areas, I think it's just really the mindset that people go into it with. I'm not saying that they marry greatly, but I would still think that there would be some sort of effort to try to mend or come together at the end of the day. And I also think that I had a point. I'm sorry, y'all. But yes, come together at the end of the day. And I think that it keeps slipping. I'm sorry. Don't laugh at me. Then I'm gonna think about it when we go to the next question. Dang.
But
okay, but go ahead.
Well, to piggyback off of that, because she's talking about mending, and then I'll go back to answering that second part because I didn't really answer that. I answered the good part, but not the bad part. So with the mending thing, like the biggest point, and this probably this answers the second part. So one thing I took away from the bad ones is that a lot of people think they don't want to try to quote unquote make things work until it's getting close to too late. And every single day you should be like, all right, cool. Like, this is what happened today. If you had a disagreement or whatever, and be like, all right, cool. Let's talk about this now. Don't wait until 3 months and now you're having an argument about something that ain't even got nothing to do with it. And now you bringing up, well, I don't like how you leave your socks on the floor or something, you know, something crazy, right? So, you gotta, mending is an ongoing process that happens every day. Especially every time y'all have like conflict or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, to my point. So, I mean, I've had this conversation with like, you know, my girlfriends and they're married and they're like, is marriage, like, is it work? That's like a big question. And I think like it's not work when it's something that you love to do. Just like when I model or I do photography, like I love to do those things. So it's not work to me. I'm showing up for what I love. And I think that's a big piece of marriage is showing up for each other.
Yeah. My job in the military, if I felt like our marriage was work, I barely want to do the work I do now. No, I love my job, but the people make it hard, and it's the same thing. Like I love our marriage, but it only gets hard if we make it hard on each other. And you getting deep out here.
What's some of the best advice you've received since being married?
Since being married, man, you probably had you done had a lot of conversations.
Not too many.
Well, I mean, like, 'cause, you know, I ain't saying say what.
Yeah.
Say what Michelle said. But,
I mean, I can't say that.
Some of the best like since we've been married. I'll say a lot of the men that are close to me that are married, really patience, and we say communication a lot, right? But communication as in we understand that the way I say things or the way my actions are meant, especially nonverbal, right? My nonverbals aren't the same as her nonverbals. So you have to constantly learn how to communicate with each other. It's not just, okay, sit down and have a conversation, because there's a time when there may be a time where she might not want to have that conversation with her. Same thing with me. And we've had those discussions where I'm like, hey, you know what I'm saying? When I see that you're hurt, like, I naturally give you that space.
Right.
And I'm having to learn, like, she don't want me to give her that space. But, you know, and that's the downside of probably having prior relationships is you start to formulate these habits. And when you're in another relationship, you have to learn to like be like, all right, cool.
Like
that stuff,
unlearning.
that stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's friendships, relationships, whatever. Anytime you're close to someone and you have a habit of doing something in response to something, then that translates over really for anything.
Yeah. I want to say that the advice that I've been given, or just some good advice that I've been given, is really just taking care of, or like trying to take care of you. Well, I hate to say trying because I do, but I'm saying, like, you know, when I talk to, I would say she's kind of like a mentor at this point, but she's like, you know, just take care of your husband. And I think the thing is, we learn like how to love each other. Because sometimes you try to love each other how you want to be loved versus like how you need that love. I think that's something that I've been working on, but yeah, she said just take care of your husband. And I mean, like, you submit to God. So at the end of the day, I like have no problem submitting to you.
Right. Come on now, that's a gem right there. That's a gem.
Okay, so we kind of talked about kind of how relationships go today, right? And some of the, let's be honest, they trash, right?
Oh,
So what are some of the things that you see in today's society that you wish they would correct in relationships and marriages that you feel like is detrimental to the Black community?
Ooh. We got a lot on
It's
this.
a lot of-
All right, so one, standards. It's cool if you want your woman to be a baddie with a fatty, whatever. And it's also cool, ladies, if you want a man that's getting to the bag and got money. But standards, you need to have a standard for everything. We look at that outside standard that everyone can see, but then when it comes down to how you're being treated behind closed doors, a lot of people tolerate way too much.
Right.
And then they wait until they've been hurt enough, and then they overcompensate. And now they're not tolerable of anything. And it's kind of a, this is a bad analogy because people are gonna think I'm a pilot in the Air Force, but I've done a simulator for a plane, and when you're doing a in-air like refueling, they have to line up perfectly to get the actual pipe into the actual gas pump. And what happens is if you try to overcompensate, you'll keep swaying. And a lot of people are doing that in their relationships right now. And it's bad, especially with their standards and their tolerance. Because now it's like, all right, cool. When you take the chance on the person that might not have the bag, because maybe a lot of people might be like, oh, well, I keep messing with people with money, so now I need a broke person. Now you overcompensating, because one, you know what I'm saying? Like, you definitely don't need nobody that's broke, because you got to live life. But when that person also doesn't work out, now you're just bouncing back and forth. Now you don't really know what you want to do.
Right.
So as long as someone is treating you correctly, and this on both ends, as long as someone's treating you correctly, submitting to God, I'm always say that, because that's really that's the biggest part of our relationship, regardless. If we ain't got nothing else, we always got that. But yeah, so submitting to God, and I lost my point now.
Like me.
Yeah, and just understanding what you need versus what you want. Because if I got $1 million and I treat her like trash, obviously it's not gonna matter. And I know a lot of people say, would you rather what is it? Would you rather cry in a Buick or a Bentley or something like that? Yeah, and it's like, that's cool, but I mean, that crying every day, mental health is highly like neglected these days, and that's part of it. Like we're like, oh, we'd rather have the monetary than have like just the basics of humanity, which is like, if I treat you like I would like to be treated, then that goes a lot longer way than anything money or a BBL can do. You know what I'm saying?
I would say just really kind of, if you're gonna move forward in relationship, then you can't base the past relationships that you've had off of where you're headed. So I would say, like, obviously that's something that would need to be dealt with before you try to step into something new. And then of course that, but why does this keep happening to me?
I don't know.
I thought about my 2 points.
And we're not even nervous.
We're
Crazy
not,
part.
a little bit. Sorry. That, but then, you know, of course, like communicating with each other is a big key, or how you communicate with a person is a big key. And I always tell my girls that are looking for advice to really just find out who they are, because you can't have, I think it makes it hard when you're going to somebody else to tell you who you are versus you know that before you come to the relationship. And I think that's why, especially women, because we are very emotional, there's a lot of insecurity. And if you have insecurity coming in and you're not able to talk about that insecurity, then there's already like a big wall or a problem. But yeah, find out who you are, because at the end of the day, a relationship is not half and half, it's two wholes.
Yeah.
That's all I got on that one.
So, seeing that y'all biblical based, right? What are some Bible verses or some of the foundations of the Bible that you look back to when you might be going through a rough time? Like,
You about to have.
Wait, I got a note.
stick to in Timothy a lot. First Timothy 3, 1 Timothy 5.
Yeah.
There's some pieces in there that I always try to go back to try to get my mind back right. So, what are some foundations in the Bible that keep you centered in your marriage?
Let me go through my highlights real quick.
Well, I have a note card if I can find it. I took a picture of it, and it was about relationships.
Is it? Oh yeah, highlights.
When was Brittany's thing? Her bridal shower? Or was that in December
Ooh.
or January?
I don't know.
Probably February. I'll find it.
I think I had to work that day.
It's not too far in here.
Oh man, this gonna be a minute. 'Cause I got so much to look through.
Should have told us. I'm scrolling fast.
I mean, honestly, I can
could have just.
I can probably just hit it.
But I like this card because it's. I really need to print it out, to be honest. You sure said it. You said, what if he asked the...
I go, well, so the most basic I can fall back on, because I wanted to keep it personal. 1 Corinthians 13, right? A lot of people know it as like the chapter of love. But I mean, really that whole chapter. But I kind of pull out some stuff kind of here and there.
I got it.
Hold on. Oh yeah, so I'll start off with the third verse. It says, and though I bestow all my goods, 1 Corinthians 13, verse 3. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profits me nothing. So it's kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier when I was like, hey, I can give her the whole world, but if I don't love her and do her as love does, if that even makes sense. I sound like a pastor right there. But there is a saying back in Anderson at one of the pastors always says, love is what love does. So if I'm not doing that, it doesn't matter what I'm doing outside of that. It doesn't profit me anything. And it's really how you need to look at marriage. But I mean, that whole, even if you keep going on, love suffers long and is kind. That in itself, it suffers and is kind. So it's two things happening at the same time. Goodness, I feel like I'm giving a message. But it suffers and is kind. And a lot of people, let's be honest, you know what I'm saying, when you get a little hangry, right. You know what I'm saying, you already don't like people, you know, just naturally. But love does not envy, love does not parade itself, it's not puffed up. That does not parade itself. These celebrities out here are really just, now it's just influencers and everybody, which is kind of,
it's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, but if I'm trying to show the world or prove to the world or parade my love around, then obviously there's something behind closed doors. It's not right. Yeah. And I mean, it really, man, there's so many gems just in that alone. And then really a lot of Proverbs just drop gem after gem after gem.
One that I have is, and this is just like some advice that I left with a friend, but the kind of standard one, I think, is Matthew 19:6, where it says, since they are no longer two but one, let no one split apart what God has joined together. And then as far as advice, I'll keep it here, but I kind of gave this advice, but it says, always trust and keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. Never forget why God joined you together. Remember to listen to hear and not to respond. Don't forget to lead with love. I think leading with love is key. And then Proverbs 15:4 says, let your words be sweet like honey when you're speaking to each other. And I think that's something I have to keep on the forefront of my mind for real, because yeah.
Same, because I never say anything like really mean
Yeah,
to it,
it's
but I
just
can be
not,
dry
like,
sometimes.
snappy, yeah.
I can definitely be like, yeah, I'm good.
And
Yeah.
then Proverbs 4:6 says to gaze Proverbs 4:25 says to gaze ahead. I think that's important as far as thinking of the moving forward and not the past. And then lastly, Hebrews 12:12, which talks about God being the author and finisher of our faith. So those are just like little key scriptures that
Okay.
I have.
Okay.
Not us.
Since
Banding
being
it.
married, what's something that y'all have learned about yourselves?
Oh man, since being married,
Yeah.
that's let's see. So I will say one thing I learned about myself.
I want to hear this.
No, I will say that patience can run out. I'm not saying I've lost patience and like flipped out, but
Yeah.
there is a point where you're just like, there's a point where you're being patient because you're like, it's easy to be, and then there gets a point where you're like, all right, I'm kind of tired of waiting, and that's what I mean by like, there's a point where patience runs out. But definitely, I'm gonna put us on blast. So I'm not a shopper. I'm not a shopper. I like getting what I need, but I'm not the type to like go and look around and do stuff like that. So
That's me.
She's that way. So what I will say, and this I'm gonna just state the worst time that it happened. But there was one time we was in Target, and it was like an hour and a half.
That's
we was
what he
pushing
said.
2 hours. I was
It was
looking.
like 30 minutes.
I was looking because my feet was hurting and everything. I
Oh,
was
no.
like, we've been in here walking for a minute.
I'm sure it was 30 minutes.
But she looked at everything, and like I was never upset. But I'd never been to a point where but I got like dry because I was like, look, I'm just trying to go home. So like I got to a point where I was literally just like, she'd be like, you good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I'd be better if we was at the house, but yeah, so I already have good patience, at least so I think, and so I mean compared to most people, I have really good patience, but I do know I have my limits, and yeah, even when you think you might not have a limit or something,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say test it, but understand that there is a limit to everything as far as us, because we're limited as humans. So
I think I've learned, as far as like how people say like communication, it's that's like very gray versus like how you said we have to learn how each other communicates. And then on top of that, work on like how I communicate. I'm not saying like it's just bad. Like I thought I was decent. I thought I got better, but then I'm like, okay, I could, say this, word this better, or structure this in a different way to where it may come across in a better framework or whatever. I mean, little things like that. Yeah, that, and I was gonna say one more thing because you always say something. I can't remember what it was.
I always say a lot of things.
You be saying a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I would say that's what I'm learning right now is just communicating effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so without using communication, what are some qualities of a strong marriage?
Okay.
Without using communication, which that's everybody's go-to.
Yeah, that's go-to.
That's because people don't be knowing. It's easy to say something that you ain't never really experienced. I'm saying it is what it is. I've seen people be like, I'm a good communicator, and I'm like, I watched y'all argue. Y'all are not.
No. Not even a little bit.
Without saying communication.
Get that word out of
I know.
out of your mouth.
I would say I kind of want to use another blanket term, but it really is the little things, and that's something that I work on a lot and still working on. But there are a lot of little things that those little things build up into good things, and when you get the little things right, when something bigger or I don't want to say extreme, but when something significant happens, then it's easier for you to handle that situation with grace rather than being vindictive or vengeful. But it's less retaliation and more of that mending process. It's more of, all right, let's come to a compromise instead of oh well, you did this, and and it's kind of like, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like in school, you know what I'm saying? It's those little things that build up to when you do the little things, and when that test comes, I feel like goodness.
You good?
When you do it, I feel like a speaker is so weird. But no, when you're doing those little assignments, right, then when that test comes, then it's like, all right, cool. I can remember what those little things were. And same thing on her end, where she'll be like, wow, I really don't like what he did, but things have been going so good, you know what I'm saying? He's been doing all the little things right. And even if not, he's been, we've been communicating that. Yeah. So you're not always gonna get it right all the time, but but those little things really, really come in clutch. So now it's not, oh, I've been building up, and she been leaving the makeup brush on my side of the bathroom every day.
We'll do it again.
You know what I'm saying? But instead of me thinking about that when that thing happens, now it's just like, all right, cool. Well, we have the thing that needs to be focused on is what's going on. And they say the enemy is what causes confusion. And if you're arguing about something and y'all talking about everything but what was originally the issue in the first place, then there's a lot of things that need to be discussed.
Right.
And you need to pick that apart and then go, all right, cool, let's talk about this, and then let's not talk about anything else till we figure this part out.
The question was, what makes a strong marriage without communication, right?
Yeah.
So I would say for sure prayer. Yes, just key. That and being in God's word, which is something that I'm trying to grasp a little stronger. But that, and then also kind of how Tanner said, at our wedding, just trusting each other with your thoughts.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing.
That was a gem.
Yeah, I never forget you said that, but that's a big thing, because you really just gotta trust each other for real. Yeah.
And if you with somebody that you don't trust,
that's already a problem.
Probably there's probably some things y'all need to discuss, or you need to figure out where you need to go from here.
Yeah.
And that's one of those other things from earlier. Yeah. One of those things from earlier. A lot of people they don't trust. I can't be on social media saying like women is this and women is that, and then I'm with a woman. Like it just. I'm obviously harboring a lot that shouldn't be there, especially if I want to have a successful relationship. Right. Yeah, which I feel like it's common sense, but but
that I also think pushing each other in purpose is important.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, I do. I think that's key because I think I know with relationships is that it's not about one of us. We're a unit, and I think a lot of what plays into some confusion is like people being selfish or not taking yourself out of the equation because you're a team at this point.
Selflessness.
Yeah,
that's it right there. That's my answer. Selflessness right there, because that's when you get the little things right, because then every time something happens you're like, all right, how can I make this better for them? But the key is y'all both have to be selfless. A lot of people are
not as one-sided.
That boat I was talking about, or that sway.
Yeah.
A lot of people are, you're 1 minute you're with someone that's selfish, and you're letting that person take from you, and then when you finally reject that, you get with someone that's selfless, and now that person has rubbed off on you to the point where you're like, well, I want this selfless person, but I want to get what's due to me, and it's like that's the past already. You know what I'm saying? Right. So you can't be trying to return. You can't return the toaster you got from Walmart to Target, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So, seeing that the main thing in society today, right? They try to teach people, they telling people not to get married at all.
Yeah.
But we also see the birth rate increase.
Hey, come on, be all right.
So, if you had to give advice or get some of the bright spots of marriage, what would you say to young people that's kind of on the fence where they listen to both sides. Like they hearing the people say don't get married, but also you trying to put out some content that show it's some black people out here getting married and they doing it the right way. So what would be some advice that you would give some of the young people that might be looking to get married in the future?
Ooh, let me start.
You got that
All
one.
right. So to the ladies. Let me see. How can I word this best? Because I got like 8 different things going through my mind. So marriage. So for the ladies, marriage to a man is a form of security for you. I am not finna drop multiple grands. I ain't gonna put the number how much I put on her ring, but I'm not finna put thousands of dollars on her finger unless I know I am committed. A man is not putting their money towards something that's not secure, regardless, and neither should women. But keeping it kind of side and side, we're not gonna put money somewhere where it's not secure. So I mean, if you're trying to marry somebody, and which I'm not saying a ring from Walmart ain't good enough, but if that's all that person has and they're willing to give it to you, that's a form of security. That contract don't just come with just a signature. That contract comes with that's the point of the ring. It's supposed to be to show you how invested he is. And if you're dating, especially to the point where he's thinking about proposing, y'all probably already know kind of how much y'all make, at least roughly. You know, if he not, if he can't afford a Benz, then don't expect him to to get the ring that Kobe Bryant got for his wife. You feel me?
Okay.
But yeah. So let that man's works prove his security or prove the security of the relationship that you have. Likewise, men.
Hold on.
Yep.
I want you to say that again.
What
you said cut through a lot of the stuff that we see today.
Yeah.
So you basically said let that brother actions
Yes.
speak for it.
Let his works, because the Bible says you will know them by their works. And yes, it was talking about false teachers, but that goes for literally anyone. If you see somebody going out murdering people, then you probably know that person's a murderer. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to know that person loves you, that person's works on both sides will tell you if that's what that is. So yeah, let his works prove the security that you have in the relationship. Likewise, men, prepare yourselves to provide that security for a woman. A lot of times, and I'll even tell myself when I was dating, because I've always had the mindset to be married. I was like, I know I can be a husband, but am I being a husband? And that's the difference. Yes, we all have the potential to be, but are you being? Are you preparing yourself for what you're trying to obtain? So for the men, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying stick your head down and ignore every woman and get to the bag, but understand where you're at, where you want to be, and what you want to provide to the woman that you want to be with. And that's money, that is character, that's everything about you. That ain't just money. Everything about you, what you do, who you gonna be, what you gonna do when you wake up, what you gonna do when you go to sleep. Are y'all gonna go to church? Are y'all gonna what are you looking for? Let those actions show. And when your actions are showing that you are a husband, the women who are not wives will leave you alone. They will find a way out, because they will be like, this man is really, I don't know if I'm ready for all that. And both sides will give those cues of uncertainty, and it's up to you to be responsible and go, all right, cool. We call them red flags, but it's up to you to be responsible and go, all right, cool. If this is what you really want to do, you need to start having those conversations. Be like, hey, you know what I'm saying? You said this the other day, and I thought about it, and I kind of, it kind of seems like you're not sure where we at. So let's talk about it. And that could go a long ways to someone who just might be fearful of what has happened to them in the past. That could be an easy conversation that goes, okay, cool. That's the I don't want to say surety, but that's the confirmation that they might have needed to be like, all right, cool. Yeah, that one confirmation could have been like, cool, now you're good to go. And now, the rest of your lives are set up. But yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned in my life was I kept wanting to be in a position that I was not preparing myself for. Goodness or something. Lord have mercy.
You do. All I agree. Though. I agree with that 100%. Same thing. I mean, just really piggybacking off of that because how the Bible say he who finds a wife, it doesn't say he find a girlfriend or he find a little friend to talk to. He's looking he finds a wife, and I think or that's why I said earlier, as far as when I give advice to my girls, it's more so prepare yourself to be a wife. I mean, it really should just be preparation.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Preparation is key.
I got a question over that though. If it was a young girl, right? She listen to you say make preparation to be a wife, right? What would be some of the preparations
Okay.
of becoming a wife?
Yeah. Well, I think earlier when I said finding out who you are, and we know that as a Christian, we know that our identity is in Christ. So you don't let the world define you. You don't let them tell you go get a booty or do all those things. We know that God made us fearfully and wonderfully made. So I think finding out what that person looks like that God called you to be is key. And then as far as the dating scene, before we met, I made the step to date with intention and not to just date to date or just to have somebody to talk to or have somebody to validate
Not
me.
that we was just gonna be friends and it turned into something.
Right,
Like,
and
no,
prey on my emotion, or not prey on my emotions, but allow you to feed and fuel my emotions of what I need. And I think that just goes hand in hand of once you have that security in the Lord and who He's called you to be, then you'll be able to decipher what that man should look like when he does approach you. And you'll know, okay, like this is a waste of time. Or, okay, this man is a God-fearing man. He's seeking the Lord. He has his best foot forward, and I can say, okay, well, I may want to pursue this and kind of go in a good direction with this.
And I will butt in real quick to go ahead and say, for the ones who saying marriage is just a contract, if you are a believer, you are incorrect. Marriage is a covenant with God between two people, a man and a woman. Don't cancel me. But no, for real, the moment that you take God out of that marriage, then let's be real. The marriage being in the law, like in our law, was way after marriage itself, before any government governed it. So to look at it from a governmental view of, it's just two people signing a contract, you just completely missed the whole part. So the word is really like the biggest part to add to that preparation for a woman. The Bible really gives you like all the gems that you need. And it's funny because when people do sermons now on marriage, they're saying things that if you've been in the word, they're saying things that you already know. But the crowd of people who aren't really in the word, you hear them be like, "Ooh, that's good," and it's like, where y'all been at? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's. I'm gonna just keep it real. If the word is gonna be your best bet on like that preparation, because it tells you literally exactly what you need to do, what your character should look like.
Yeah, it does. Proverbs.
What your actions should look like. Yeah, and a lot of people have Proverbs 31 in their bio and everything, but I mean it's just there.
I'm still struggling with waking up in the morning.
Yeah.
So
But like I said, I ain't saying you gotta be able to do every single thing at that point. But
it's good to strive towards it though.
But you need to let the word be the leader into that. Because if we weren't both led by the same thing at that time, it wouldn't have worked out. Because either one of us or both of us would have been in a different mindset, and we would have either just not worked, or we would have worked in a negative way and would have created more baggage for each other. And that's another. It's a lot. Like I said, it's a lot on relationships today. But a lot of us are creating negative baggage for each other, and then expecting our next partner to care. To accept me as I am. But you're not doing the work to put some.
Sure, but I also think too, put yourself in positions of where you want to be.
Yes.
Even when it comes down to your friendships and like the people you're hanging around. Yeah, because friendships determine your ships.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cause if you was hanging around a lot of city girls, I'd have been like,
if you hang around that mindset, then I just say, definitely put yourself in that position, but also don't be afraid to seek wise counsel. And that's important. And I'm learning that myself right now.
These gems though.
Yeah.
2 more questions. We're gonna try to make it a lot harder.
Yeah.
We writing a book.
No, for real. It's already been written. No, I'm stopping it.
What are 3 qualities that you love about your spouse?
Oh, sweet.
Look at that. He's trying to get the content now, for real. 3 qualities. I'm trying to break them down so I don't want to be like you. I'm not just like, but
Yeah.
3 qualities. Oh man. Well, I'm gonna start off kind of funny, cause she know this, but I love when she rubs my back. That's like top tier. It's like God, her, my mom, and then back rubs. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Bye.
I had to put that in there because my mom, if my mom sees this, she's gonna be like, "Oh, that's how you." No, but no, for real. But that's like I said, the little things like those back rubs are really. And she saw that yesterday. Those back rubs, I was looking like I was in a trance. But it's just something simple, and it's comforting in a way of like a supporting type of comfort. You know what I'm saying? Just like she's got my back, literally. But what else? I love the way that she is confident for the most part. I say confident for the most part would come to me about things, which it sounds like something that should happen anyway. But there are conversations that we've had that I'm like, wow, I'm surprised that, you know what I'm saying, that you were willing to have a conversation.
Yeah.
But it's needed because that's a way to build trust is to have faith in that person, which is like, hey, I don't know how you gonna react to when I talk to you about this, but I trust you to talk about it. A lot of people don't have that kind of faith in their partner to be like, I don't know, like the body count thing when they be like, I don't know if I can tell you my body count. You know what I'm saying?
There's just weird, but there's also intimacy in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the third thing, let's see. I'll say.
Like I'm looking, like staring at his face.
I love that. So they're kind of, I don't want to say they're both the same thing. So one, she's willing to talk to me, right? And then also she's also willing to seek wise counsel, which she did bring up. And I like that she practices, what she preaches on that. She's never afraid to be like, all right, let me talk to someone who has been married longer. Let me talk to someone who has,
like I said,
has
wise
more experience in life, right?
Wise.
Someone who she trusts, who she's seen, who we know that are like, all right, cool. We know this person will be unbiased. They're not just gonna be like, well, girl, forget what he said. You just do, like, what I'm saying? Like, they're willing to be like, all right, look, well, the word says this.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, cool. Like, anytime
They're not just a yes man.
Right. They can definitely be like, hey, you probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But, this is probably what y'all should talk about. This is probably how you can go about this. And then, because we've never really been apart necessarily. We've never really been like, we just not gonna talk to each other.
No.
Which is a blessing. But we usually, we'll take that little bit of time, get over whatever emotions we're feeling at the moment, and then we talk about it. And then usually when we talk about it, we joke about it. Usually,
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, because it'll really be something serious, and we'd be like, "Yo, we really was out here
And
like
we laughing like
Yeah.
it's funny now.
Right.
That ain't cool.
Yeah. But we ain't never. I mean, she ain't never tried to kill me, so I mean,
No. We ain't going there.
yeah.
3 qualities for you.
Man, it's on the
So
spot too. That's
the
great.
first quality is gonna be, well, I hate to say this, but you can't talk about marriage without talking about God. I'm sorry. Just had to put that out there. But your love for the Lord, like your heart of serving Him is important to me. And yeah, I just, how we talked about pushing each other in purpose, I wouldn't get in the way of that. And I love seeing how you take that time for the Lord and serving Him. Second quality is going to be patience. She's really patient. Yeah, I need that. Kind of balance me out a little bit because I'm not. Not even a little bit. And then third quality, I don't know, baby, you're just really sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That sounds really like cliche to say, but
Yeah.
you're just a sweetheart. Yeah. You always have been. And I love it.
I don't even know what to say. My bad. I just couldn't. I feel like people gonna be like, so he just not gonna say nothing? Like, nah, I really just.
No, yeah,
I'm
no.
speechless.
Yeah, you
Look
are.
at that.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna do laundry tonight.
Yeah.
There's one.
I can't stand it.
What's your favorite memory so far of your spouse?
Ooh.
That's a good one.
You got too many.
Man, I do.
Favorite memory, just anything.
Mm.
want to say a memory that we can actually talk about.
I mean, it's a lot because we got the proposal, we got the
Yeah.
wedding.
I will say I'll keep it
When
cliche.
you
'cause
whispered
it's-
to me you wanted me to be your girlfriend.
Yeah, on a mountain. On a
It
mountain.
was not on a mountain.
I mean,
We
it was-
kissed on a mountain.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah. First kiss was on the mountain. But I mean, the first kiss is basically saying like, "We my girl." You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
No,
it's
it's not.
it's the same thing, just without words. No, man, I gotta say, I'll put us on blast. So we got married a year before
The
the
wedding.
actual wedding, right? This is why it's my favorite moment. But before she pulls up, wedding day, right? I'm out there in the with the white dinner coat, you know what I'm saying, looking real like Black James Bond. She hadn't even gotten out the car yet. Like she was supposed to pull up in the car, get out, and then start walking down the aisle because it was outside. She hadn't even been out the car yet. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna keep saying it. Not even out the car yet. I'm done. I'm toast. Like no shot, gone. Like I'm like, cause I knew the moment was about to happen. I pretty much cried most of my tears before I actually saw her, which worked out. Cause then I wasn't like, when we had to do the vows and everything, I was good.
Yeah.
But I was nervous. I was actually nervous. Like it's so crazy that we really what, few more days in a year since we've been
Yeah.
here, right? Yeah. So a little bit over 365 days. And like literally I was nervous as if like we weren't married. And it was the craziest thing.
That's the best feeling though.
Yeah,
Because I
because
was too.
even Stacy, who officiated our wedding, he's like, I mean, y'all already married. I was like, I know, but it's just something about it. Like I just feel like I'm like it's for the first time.
It's an important
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And I think and it feels more official when you do it in front of people and God. So like people knew, but like it's like, all right, this is that moment. And it was just, she was so beautiful. I don't know, it's just her walking down. I was like, man, this is everything I asked for. And we literally like we really put a whole wedding together like
Less than a year.
within a month before or after I got back from my deployment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I literally proposed and had to deploy, and I was like, well, and
You
so,
didn't deploy that quick, but yeah.
no, but it was like some months, probably about 4
4 or 5 months.
Yeah, and then gone for 6 months, planned the whole wedding and everything, and man, like it
Came
was just
back.
like, and I was chill because I was like, it's the wedding, we already married. That's what I kept saying like the whole
We
time.
kept saying that, and then the wedding day
In the
came.
moment, yeah, and even that first dance, I was toast again.
I cried too that day. I didn't cry as much as you.
But I cried more than her, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, and I still don't even know because I'm usually the non-emotional one. Not non-emotional, but I'm usually like, you know, the pillar. You know what I'm
A
saying?
couple of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one of them is going to be when we were dating and we went to the fair.
Yeah.
And the whole time at the fair, I'm like trying to get him to get me win me one of those stuffed animals.
Oh yeah. It was.
And he
it
was
so-
like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean no? And he was like, I'm not
So
going to pay this.
I'd already seen all the videos about how all those games
they're
are
like,
scams essentially.
yeah.
Like you have to. It's the margin of error is very very small for you to win like really any of them. So I was like, I already knew. I was like, if I really commit to this, I'm gonna end up dropping like $30-$40
Yeah.
if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Cause it was like $3 to $5 a game for different stuff. So I was like, that money adds up quick. I'm just like, all right, cool. Cause they always be like, another $2, you get 2 more tries.
Like
And you're
such and I need to work on this, but I have this Lifetime fairy Disney movie dream sometimes. And then I'm like, okay, we're doing things that like I haven't been able to experience with someone, so I just get like overly like it's supposed to go like this or like having an
Oh, yeah, yeah.
expectation. And I was like, but just try. And he was like, no. And I was like, okay.
Oh
And
man.
I was getting my feelings about it. And then you were like, trust me, I'm gonna give you something better.
Right.
And you did.
Cause
You did.
Yeah.
And then okay, well that
Me over here foreshadowing and whatnot.
and then that, but then also I don't know if you had bought the ring by then.
No, but I was already
Planning it.
already looking.
But that happened, and then I mean, obviously, favorite moment was at the wedding, like when we had our first dance.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that for so long, and then it happened,
Yeah.
and it was just like it was us. It was like nobody else was there.
And we was literally trying to
We
people.
took
and
7. We did them 7 minutes, so that's
Yeah, that song was long. I think it was like 7. Yeah, it was about 7 to 8 minutes. We did the whole song. We did not care. People was crying in the background. We looked at the videos later and people was crying in the background. I was like, oh, look at that. Because we showed
It was like, we didn't even know y'all was
that
still
moment. That was,
Y'all could have went home. Just
not
kidding.
for real. They could have went home. We wouldn't even know.
But
But
that's my favorite.
man, that's a tough one, man. The memories is, there's so many. And that's just the cute ones. There's some funny memories. It's just like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because I also forget the one when I was like, why you being weird to me?
That's not a funny memory.
It is. It was funny. It wasn't funny in the moment, but it was funny to me.
Whatever.
Yeah, but we can't tell that one. That was personal. We can't
Yeah.
tell that one. But yeah,
Yep.
That's all I want to say, man. I appreciate y'all.
yeah, that was I mean, that was, you said kind of a gem on that last two about expectations, and it's just
Yeah.
like, you know, let your steps be ordered by the Lord, and if they're ordered by the Lord, you shouldn't have any expectation of how it's gonna go, but you should have the expectation that it will work in your favor.
There you go.
That's what the word says. I'm gonna leave it at that because I ain't finna.
Come on,
Look, I done put up like three, put up like 3-4 starts to a sermon.
No, for real.
Yeah, but no, yeah, that's a really powerful thing too, and it's,
Yeah, expectations
Yeah.
crazy.
but yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all I have.
I appreciate y'all.
Ooh, that was a lot.
Now we're doing a little dance out.
I ain't think-